Let's be honest, you suck at defending, that is why you clicked on this video, and we are going to teach you how to actually fix that. As you can see in these clips, guys, and as you will see, we are making a lot of defending mistakes, and I want you to focus on these mistakes because most of these mistakes are the one you are making in your own gameplay as well. Now, many people come and tell me that okay, it is easy to follow videos, but it is hard to do in game. See, everyone makes errors. That is the first thing you want to accept. You want to accept that you are going to concede goals, right? Because if you are not in the right state of mind, your defending will not improve. Now, as you can see, this might look like something that you see on your screen every time. No matter what you do, you try to follow advice from YouTube tutorials, still you are unable to defend. That is because of these reasons, guys. See, building up from the back is very important. Pulling your players out of position is something you cannot do, and people underestimate these things. That is why we considered those goals, and there is another trick that you need to follow, which I will tell you in a little while, in order to perfect your defense. Now, in these clips, you can see my defense is perfect against a much better player, not against foot champions players, against proper professional players. Why am I defending so well? Is it because I learned how to defend, or is it because I am doing something else? I will tell you. It is the second reason. I am doing something else. I didn't learn defending. It's not possible to learn something in one day, right? It is just one day apart, this gameplay. And I know most people struggle with defense because they are inconsistent and they are unable to defend consistently on this game. In order to defend consistently, you need to know the fundamentals of defense. No matter how many times I repeat them, still I coach many people and I always see the similar mistakes. Number one being pulling players out of position and not knowing when to pounce. Now, if you keep making these mistakes, you cannot go far in this game. If you keep losing ball in your own build up, you cannot go far, right? But now this is easier said than done. I understand you guys, and that is why I want you to focus on this. Guys, see, in this situation, I was on the ball with my left back. In this game, you need to create an overload. Sometimes that backfires. If you lose the ball high up the pitch with your fullbacks, it is very hard to defend the counter attack. However, you can do that by making the right switch, switching being the key word. So, what do we do? In this situation, we will switch to Laurent Blanc. We make the perfect switch. We are using the gas and brake technique, right? We are running to cover the ground. When we see that, okay, the opponent is slowing down, we hold L2 and R2 when we want to intercept the ball. Now we let go again into gas brake and we win the ball back. Proper recovery. But this is where most people go wrong. Guys, when you're building up from the back, you cannot play in a direct line, in a vertical line. Instead, with your CBs, you want to go towards the wing. If the wingers are not empty, just turn back and pass the ball to your goalkeeper and then switch. Use the radar. Never go from your CB to CM. It is a fundamental mistake which even very good players make. See, I made this mistake. Like I mentioned earlier, I know many people know these things, but still they make these mistakes. There is a fix for that. But first, we need to focus on something more important. You cannot overcommit, guys. Losing the ball is one thing and overcommitting is another. See, in this situation, here he does a good skill move with Rodrigo, but still I overcommitted. I expected him to move upwards because he went downwards. If you give that pocket of space, know that controlled sprint is overpowered. It is hard to recover. That is why I always advise not to put yourself in situations where the opponent can exploit that control sprint inside the box. Now, in this situation, this is where most people struggle to defend, guys. There are two things that you can do. If I went with VVD like this, I would win the ball back, like you will see in a while as well. But instead, I concede this goal. When you're on the wing and the opponent is on the byline and you find yourself in this situation, in such situations, it is always better if you move downwards, move towards the red arrow. That is what you want to do. Don't prioritize covering the middle. Instead, you want to prioritize covering the wing because in the middle there are still players who can defend. But if he goes through on the wing, that is GG's. See, I make that mistake. I let him go on the wing and he scores that easy tap in. Now, in this game, you will see once again what is happening. I am pulling players out of position. And this is what most people do. And I love such players. And any good player loves such players. And this is the mistake I was making. Wings are the most overpowered way of scoring in this game. And if you are constantly conceding goals from wings, that is because you are too aggressive with your fullbacks. You cannot, you cannot challenge the opponent's winger with your fullback, especially when they are in your own half. What you want to do is actually keep your shape and defend from the front. Because I am over aggressive, I try to win the ball too quickly, I am rushing my game. Rushing is the key word here. Because when you're in a rush state of mind, guys, your focus isn't there and you just do not play very well. And see, that is why we end up in no man's land and we end up conceding this goal. Recycles are overpowered. If the opponent goes in this area and recycles the ball, guys, it is very hard to stop this. It is overpowered in FC24 and I even made a video about this. Now, once again, my defense is completely out of shape and I always stress it that you cannot pull players out of position, guys. That is why UE concede goals. So what happens when we pull players out of position? See, Blanc is now playing CB and Van Dijk is playing maybe RB and defense is completely out of shape. There are so many gaps in the middle and that is why you cannot pull your players out of position. No matter how many times you practice it, it is very hard to perfect. That is why you need to focus. Now, what was I talking about? I was telling you it is not possible that I forgot to defend. So why do we feel inconsistent? It is because of two reasons. The first one being our mentality. Now, how does mentality relate to gameplay? See, in this situation, I know I'm playing against a good player, so I'm focused and I am actually keeping my defenders in shape and I am using second man pressure. Passive aggressive defending. You keep a balance. You are passive and you are aggressive. You are keeping a balance. Now see what happens. This is what. Now see what happens. Hakimi turns away. When the opponent takes a touch away from your goal, that is a win-win situation for you. That means you have successfully defended an attack, right? And it is a good opponent. I am keeping my shape tight. I am playing the same custom tactics, same things, still defending better. It is because of my mindset and how I am reading the opponent. Earlier, I told you when the opponent goes in the wing, you always want to prioritize defending the wing. Right? See, here Lucio is my CB. I have two options. Either I can push up and try to cover the pass into Mbappe, or I can defend front on and actually challenge him in a 1v1. This is the best way to defend the wing. Yes, you can argue that partial team press, but that is still inconsistent at times. This is the best way. If you have to make a decision of going upwards or downwards when the opponent is on the wing, guys, always prioritize going down like this because this is the result. It is very hard if you do it perfectly for the opponent to beat you. We are only using the jockey button inside the box. Now when we are building up, we are taking our time because it is an essential part of defending. See here with Theo, I go with step overs, I do a ball roll and I turn back. Because see, everyone plays high depth, which means overload ball side, auto press. So we need to be very careful in defense. Now look guys, this is what happens when you keep your shape. Because I am in a perfect back four, the opponent is forced to turn away, right? I am keeping my calm. I am being reactive. You need to have a balance. You want to be reactive and you have to be proactive. You should know when you need to be reactive and when you need to be proactive. When the opponent is building up, you have time to be reactive. You can react to his moves. Sometimes you need to be proactive. Like in this situation, what do we use? We use the X button, shoulder tackle, shoulder barge, which is an essential part of your gameplay. And no matter what anyone says, you have to use the shoulder barge button in the gameplay. When you are 50-50 with the player standing next to them, that is when you press the X button and actually get the ball back. Auto overload ball side. That is why most of you struggle in defense. Now, what is auto overload ball side? Guys, as we know, when you put a depth higher than 45, your team auto presses. And that is why some people struggle to defend in this game. They don't know that their team is auto pressing. Because there is an auto overload ball side, like you can see in this situation, all of my team pushes towards the ball side. Now this leaves gaps on the wings, other wings, right? You have to be very good with your right stick switching in order to make this trick effective, because good players, they know how to get out of this press. But if your right stick switching is good and your passive aggressive defending is good, which I taught you, if you know when to be proactive, like you anticipate if the opponent is going to make a pass or if he's going to go for a dribble, and you have the ability to win the ball back, it is going to be beneficial. If not, most times you will concede easy counter attacks, right? Now you might say that this guy is talking too much. Guys, it is actually about understanding the fundamentals of this game. I cannot stress it enough. No matter what game you play, which you play, if you don't focus on these things, your gameplay will not go to the next level, right? Now, the most important thing which separates good defending from bad defending is the mentality and focus. You always want 100% focus, right? I earlier talked about mentality. When you're rushed, when you're playing just because, to kill time or stuff like that, your defense will not be able to go to the next level, because then you will make unforced errors. And when you are making unforced errors, that is when you're giving easy spaces to the opponent to exploit. Attacking is very easy in this game given the opponent is making unforced errors. It is a competitive game, so if we have to have the edge, we always want a perfect mindset. If you fix all these mistakes and actually apply this knowledge in game, your gameplay will go to the next level.